The night was silent. The stars above the small village shined cold and distant, like eyes watching from far away. Lena sat near the window of her small home, listening to the wind. She did not know that this night would change her life forever. She did not know that her own family was about to betray her. Her father had been quiet all day. He avoided her eyes. Her mother's hand shook when she served dinner. Even her little brother did not speak much. Lena thought it was strange, but she said nothing. She believed her family loved her. She believed she was safe with them. But when the moon climbed high in the sky, heavy footsteps came. A knock shook the door. Her father opened it quickly as if he had been waiting. Strange figures stepped inside. Their tall shadows covered the walls. The smell of metal and burning air filled the room. Lena's eyes widened. They were not human. Their skin was pale, their faces sharp, their eyes glowing faint blue. Alien traders. She had heard stories about them. How they came in secret, how they bought humans, how they sold them in markets across the stars. But she never thought they would come here. Never thought her father would welcome them. One of the aliens spoke in a deep, rough voice. Lena could not understand the language, but she saw the exchange. Her father handed over a small chip. The alien counted glowing credits on his wristband. A deal was made. Lena's heart froze. "Father?" she whispered, but he did not look at her. He only said, "It is for the best, Lena, forgive us." Two aliens grabbed her arms. She tried to pull back. "No, please. Mother, stop them," she screamed. Her mother turned her face away, tears shining in her eyes. Her little brother hid behind the table, shaking. "Don't let them take me," Lena cried, but no one moved. No one saved her. The aliens dragged her out into the cold night. She kicked and fought, but their grip was like iron. A ship stood waiting outside, black and shining under the stars. Its ramp hissed open. Smoke curled out like the breath of a monster. Lena screamed until her throat burned, but the only answer was silence. Her father closed the door of their house. Her family did not come out. They did not even watch. Her heart broke. She felt more pain from that silence than from the strong hands holding her. She was not stolen by strangers. She was sold by her own family. The aliens pushed her inside the ship. The door shut behind her with a loud thud. Darkness swallowed her. Chains clicked around her wrists. She was thrown into a small metal cage. Other humans sat inside, weak and hopeless. Some looked at her with pity. Others looked away, too broken to care. Tears blurred her vision. She pressed her head against the cold wall. She thought of her home, her family, her little brother's face. Why me? Why did they give me away? The engines roared. The ship rose into the sky, higher and higher, until the village below was only a memory. The stars spread wide, cruel and endless. Lena realized the truth. She was leaving her world forever. Fear crawled inside her chest. Was this the end? Would she die far from home, forgotten by everyone she loved? The cage rattled as the ship jumped into faster speed. The stars outside stretched like white rivers. The other humans sat in silence. Lena's hands trembled. She tried to be strong, but her heart whispered, "It is over. My life is over." But somewhere deep inside, a small spark refused to die. A thought came to her. If they wanted me gone, then I will survive even without them. She did not know what waited ahead. She did not know what cruel hands would buy her. But one thing was certain. Lena's journey was only beginning, and in the darkness of space where hope seemed lost, fate was already moving. One day someone human would change everything. The ship landed with a heavy thud. Lena felt the ground shake beneath her. The cage door clanged open and the aliens shouted in their strange language. The other humans stood up slowly, their eyes empty, their chains rattling. Lena's heart pounded. She had no choice but to follow. Cold hands gripped her arms again and pushed her forward. Bright lights hit her face as she stepped outside. She blinked. What she saw froze her breath. It was not Earth. It was not any world she knew. Before her stretched a massive city made of metal and stone. Tall towers stabbed into the sky. Strange flying machines buzzed above like insects. Neon signs glowed in languages she could not read. The air was thick with smoke and heat, filled with the sound of thousands of voices, alien voices growling, hissing, clicking. And in the center of it all stood the market. It was larger than any stadium Lena had ever seen. Endless stalls, cages, and platforms spread out under a high glass dome. Aliens of every shape and size filled the place. Tall, thin beings with long fingers, short creatures with spiky skin, armored giants that walked like living tanks. Their eyes burned with hunger, greed, or cold interest. Lena's stomach turned. She realized the truth. This was no ordinary market. This was a slave market. The humans were pushed into a long line. Guards with black weapons barked orders, their armor glowing with red lights. Some humans stumbled. Others were whipped back into place. Lena clenched her teeth. She would not fall. She would not show weakness. One by one, people were dragged onto raised platforms, shown like animals, and sold to the highest bidder. A tall alien with insect wings snapped its claws and bought 3 men at once. A creature with snake-like eyes hissed with delight as it purchased a terrified child. The crowd cheered, laughed, and shouted prices in alien tongues. Lena's hands shook. She wanted to close her eyes, but she forced herself to watch. She had to know what would happen to her. Her turn came too soon. A guard shoved her forward onto the platform. Bright lights burned her skin. She blinked at the sea of alien faces staring up at her. Some eyes were cruel, some curious, and some hungry, as if they were not buying a slave but a meal. The announcer shouted her details in an alien tongue. The bidding began. Voices rose sharp and eager. Credits flashed in the air like sparks. Lena's heart raced. She looked down at the crowd. Every face was strange and human. She wanted to scream, to run, but her chains held her still. Then she saw him. In the middle of the crowd stood a tall figure, cloaked in shadows. Unlike the others, he was quiet. His face was hidden, but Lena felt his eyes on her. Watching, studying. He did not shout. He did not move, and yet when the bidding slowed, he lifted his hand. The crowd grew silent. The announcer's voice faltered. The other aliens hesitated, as if this figure was someone they did not wish to challenge. The final number rang out. The cloaked figure had placed the highest bid. The platform shook with the sound of the gavel. Lena's chains pulled her forward again. Her body trembled, but her mind was numb. She did not know who this new master was. She only knew she now belonged to him. The guards dragged her off the platform and into a narrow corridor. The figure followed behind, silent and calm. Lena tried to glance back, but the guard struck her shoulder. She bit her lip to keep from crying out. They stopped in front of a large black door. The figure stepped forward at last, and for a brief moment Lena saw his face under the hood. Her breath caught. He was not alien. He was human. Lena's thoughts spun. Why? Humans were slaves here. She had seen them broken, beaten, sold like cattle. How could one stand free? How could one have enough power to buy her in front of them all? The door opened, and the guards shoved her inside. The human followed, his eyes locked on her. For the first time since the night of her betrayal, Lena felt something strange stir inside her chest. Not hope. Not yet, but a question: who was this man? And why did he choose her? The room was dark and silent. The only sound was the slow hiss of air through hidden vents. Lena sat on the floor, her wrists chained to the wall. The cold metal bit into her skin. She pulled once, twice, but the chains held strong. She looked around. It was not a cell like the others. The walls were smooth, black, and polished. Strange lights blinked in the corners. It was cleaner, quieter, almost like a private chamber. But still, it was a prison. The human stood across the room, watching her. His cloak hung heavy around his shoulders. He had not spoken a single word since they entered. His eyes were sharp, steady, too calm for this place. Lena stared at him. Her voice shook. You're human." He tilted his head slightly but gave no answer. Her anger rose. Why? Why are you here? Why did you buy me? Are you like them now? A traitor? The man's eyes narrowed. He stepped closer, slow and quiet, until his shadow fell over her. He crouched, his face only inches from hers. "I am not your enemy," he said at last. His voice was low, steady, but filled with weight. "Do not scream. Do not draw attention. You are safer if they believe you belong to me." Lena's heart pounded. Safer? She did not understand. He leaned back and stood. "Rest now. You will need strength." Then he left the room, the door sliding shut behind him with a hiss. The hours passed slowly. Lena could not sleep. Her mind burned with questions. Who was this man? How did a human walk among aliens as if he was one of them? Why had he chosen her? When the door opened again, the human returned. He carried food, strange bread, glowing fruit, a jug of water. He placed it near her without a word. Lena looked at it, suspicious. Why give me this? What do you want from me? He met her eyes. To live. Her chest tightened. She had expected cruelty, maybe even kindness with a hidden cost. But this answer confused her. She picked up the bread and bit into it. It was bitter, but it filled her stomach. For the first time since her capture, she felt a little stronger. Days passed. The human never gave his name. He spoke little, but his presence was different from the aliens. He treated her with caution, almost respect. He never struck her, never shouted, never mocked. Still, Lena's chains remained. Every time the guards came to inspect, the man ordered her to kneel or sit quietly. His voice was harsh, commanding, an act. And the guards always believed it. They laughed, thinking she was just another broken slave. But when the door closed again, the man's voice softened. He would give her food, water, even blankets. He spoke short sentences, simple advice: do not fight here. Watch everything. Trust no one. Lena listened. She learned. One night as she lay awake, she whispered, "Why me? Out of all the others, why did you buy me?" The man stood by the wall, silent as always. For a long moment she thought he would not answer. Then he said, "Because you still had fire in your eyes. They would have destroyed you." His words struck her heart. No one had spoken of her strength before. Not even her own family. She looked down at her chains. "I don't feel strong." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Chains are not forever. Remember that." Her breath caught. Was he telling her something more? The next day, Lena saw more of the alien world. The man took her outside, chains still on her wrists. They walked through crowded streets filled with alien masters and their slaves. Lena saw humans bent low, carrying heavy loads, their eyes dull and lifeless. She saw others in cages, sold and bought like objects. Every sight cut into her heart. But then she noticed something else. The man who had bought her walked differently. Aliens nodded at him, moved aside, even showed respect. He was not treated like a slave. He was something more, something hidden. When she looked at him, he gave her a small, sharp glance, as if warning her not to speak. Suspicion grew inside her. Who was this man really? That night, as the city lights glowed outside the window, Lena whispered to herself, "If chains are not forever, then maybe I can escape." She did not know if she could trust him fully. She did not know if his kindness was real or just another trick. But one thing was certain. The fire inside her was not gone. It burned brighter now, and for the first time since her betrayal, Lena dared to think of freedom. The nights in the alien city were never quiet. Even behind thick walls, Lena could hear the hum of ships, the roar of engines, and the sharp cries of alien voices. The world outside never slept, and neither did her questions. She sat on the floor, her wrists still chained, staring at the strange human across the room. He was sharpening a blade, long, black, and unlike anything she had seen on Earth. Sparks flashed each time the stone scraped against the edge. His face remained calm, focused. Finally, Lena spoke. Her voice was soft but firm. "Who are you?" The blade paused. The man did not look up. "That is not important," her chest tightened. "It is important to me. You bought me. You keep me here. You act like a master, but you are not like the others. You are different. Why?" He set the blade down at last. His eyes lifted, sharp and unreadable. For a long moment, silence stretched between them. Then he stood and walked closer, his steps steady, controlled. He crouched in front of her. His cloak fell open slightly, and Lena saw what lay beneath. Marks burned into his skin, scars that looked too deep, too precise to be accidents. They were symbols, alien symbols carved into his arms. "I have lived among them for years," he said quietly. "I learned their ways. I wear their marks. That is why they trust me." Lena's breath caught. You chose this?" His jaw tightened. "I chose survival, and survival comes at a cost." The door hissed open suddenly. A pair of alien guards stepped inside. Their eyes glowed red as they scanned the room. One barked something in its guttural tongue. The man's face hardened instantly. He turned to Lena, his voice sharp and cold. "Kneel!" Her body froze. She stared at him. His eyes flashed with warning. "Do it now." Her knees hit the floor just as one of the guards stepped closer. It sneered, tapping its weapon against her chains. The other laughed, pointing at her as if mocking a broken toy. The man barked a command in the alien language. His voice carried authority, calm but dangerous. The guard stiffened, then laughed again. They gave Lena one last cruel look before turning and leaving. The door sealed shut. Silence returned. Lena's chest heaved. Anger burned in her veins. She glared at him. "You made me kneel," his voice softened. "I made you live." That night he brought her food again. This time he did not leave right away. He sat across from her, watching as she ate. The tension between them was sharp, like a wire ready to snap. Finally, Lena set the food aside. "Tell me your name." He was quiet for a long time. Then, almost reluctantly, he said, "Aaron." The name felt strange in this place, like a whisper from another world. Lena repeated it softly. "Aaron." He looked away, his face shadowed. "Do not use it when others are near. To them, I am something else." Lena leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Why me, Aaron? Out of all the slaves, why did you choose me?" He met her gaze. His voice was steady, but there was something fierce beneath it. "Because you have not given up. Most humans here are broken. Their spirit is gone. But yours still burns. That fire is rare, and it must be protected." Her heart pounded. No one had ever spoken about her like that before. The next day, Aaron took her outside again. The market was louder than ever, filled with alien voices, flashing signs, and the stink of smoke. Lena's chains clinked as they walked. She kept her head low, but her eyes searched everywhere. She saw humans sold like animals, children crying in cages, old men dragged across the floor. Her stomach twisted, but she forced herself not to cry. Aaron walked with confidence. Aliens moved aside for him. Some bowed their heads slightly, as if he carried a power she could not see. As they passed a narrow alley, Lena heard a faint sound, a whisper. She turned her head. A human boy, no older than 12, crouched behind the bars of a cage. His lips moved. "Help, please." Lena's heart ached. She slowed, but Aaron's hand pressed firmly on her shoulder. "Not now," he muttered under his breath. She looked up at him, her eyes burning. "So you do nothing? You pretend to be one of them, but you let children rot in cages?" His jaw clenched. For a moment, his mask cracked. She saw pain flash in his eyes. Then his face hardened again. Survival first. Rescue later. That night, Lena could not sleep. She replayed the boy's whisper in her mind. She replayed Aaron's words, too. Finally, she whispered into the darkness. "If you are not my enemy, then prove it." Aaron's voice came from the shadows. "I will." She turned her head. His eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, calm but burning with something deeper. "Soon," he said, "you will understand. And when the time comes, I will not let them take you again." For the first time, Lena felt a crack in the walls around her fear. It was not hope yet, not fully. But it was something close, because maybe, just maybe, this stranger was more than he seemed. The alien city never slept. Its towers glowed with red and blue lights, its streets filled with strange machines and endless voices. But deep inside one hidden chamber, far from the noise, Lena sat chained to the wall. Her eyes burned with restless thoughts. Aaron stood near the door, his cloak draped over him like a shadow. He had said little since their last conversation, but tonight his face looked sharper, his movements quicker. Something was different. Finally, he spoke. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Listen carefully, Lena. What I tell you now, no one else must know." Her heart raced. She sat up straighter, pulling against her chains. "Why? What is happening?" Aaron stepped closer. His eyes, dark and steady, locked on hers. "I am not what I seem. I am not their ally. I am working against them." Her breath caught. She had suspected it, but hearing the words sent a chill through her. "You mean, you're fighting them?" He nodded once. "For years, quietly, carefully. I have freed humans before. Not many, but some. I cannot save everyone, but I save who I can." Lena's chest tightened. She thought of the boy in the cage, the old men in chains, the children sold like cattle. "Why not them?" "Why not all of us?" Aaron's voice grew firm. "Because if I move too fast, if I act too openly, they will know. And if they know, they will kill me and every human I try to save. Do you understand?" She swallowed hard. She hated the truth of his words, but she could not deny them. "Then why me? Why risk it for me?" His gaze softened just slightly. "Because you still fight, and because I need someone who will not break." Lena's pulse pounded in her ears. His words filled her with fear and fire all at once. Aaron pulled a small device from his cloak, a round metal disc that glowed faint blue. He set it on the floor. Lines of light spread across the surface, forming maps, codes, and strange symbols. This city, he said, pointing to the glowing shapes, is full of traps and eyes. But I know its systems. I know its weaknesses. There will be a shipment leaving in 3 nights. Cargo headed for the outer colonies. If we get to that ship, we can escape. Lena leaned forward, her eyes wide. Escape? The word felt unreal, almost dangerous. Aaron's voice dropped even lower. Yes, but it will not be easy. We must pass through the market, the docks, and the patrol lines. One mistake and they will kill us. Her stomach twisted. And you want me to come with you? His eyes burned into hers. I need you to. Alone I can survive, but together, we can fight. I believe you are stronger than you know. The plan felt like fire in her mind. Part of her wanted to believe, wanted to run, wanted freedom, but another part whispered fear. What if it's a trap? She asked. Her voice shook. What if you are lying? Aaron did not flinch. He stepped closer, kneeling until his face was level with hers. Then why would I risk everything by telling you this? If I wanted you broken, I would leave you in chains. But I do not want a broken slave, Lena. I want an ally. Her chest rose and fell quickly. His words struck her harder than chains. Ally, not slave. The next day, Lena noticed things she had missed before. The way Aaron's eyes flicked to corners where tiny cameras blinked. The way his hand brushed his cloak, hiding small devices. The way he always walked with confidence, as if covering something dangerous beneath his calm. That night, he gave her a piece of cloth and whispered, "Hide this under your sleeve." She unfolded it. A tiny chip, smooth and black. What is it? A key, he said. When the time comes, you'll know how to use it. Her hands trembled as she hid it. On the second night, the guards came again. They searched the chamber, laughing as they checked her chains. Aaron barked commands in the alien tongue, pretending to be cruel. Lena played her role, lowering her head, silent. Her heart hammered as the guards passed only inches from the hidden chip. When they left, she exhaled sharply. Aaron gave her a quick nod. You are learning. By the third night, her fear had twisted into something else. Determination. Aaron drew the plan on the floor with a sharp tool. We move when the bells sound. The docks will be loud, the patrol will be distracted. That is our only chance. Lena stared at the lines, memorizing every step. Her chains still bound her, but inside she felt them breaking already. She looked up at him. And if we fail? Aaron's eyes turned to steel. Then we dive free. The word struck her heart like thunder. She nodded slowly. Then I am ready. The night of the escape came. The city outside roared with alien engines. Bells rang in the distance, deep and heavy. Aaron stood by the door, his blade strapped to his side, his eyes sharp with focus. He looked at Lena one last time. Stay close. Do exactly as I say. And no matter what happens, do not stop running. The door hissed open. The noise of the alien city crashed inside. Lena's chains rattled as Aaron unlocked them. For the first time since her betrayal, her wrists were free. She touched the raw skin, her heart racing. Aaron's voice was firm, urgent. Now, Lena, it begins. The bells of the alien city thundered across the night. Deep, metallic, and sharp, they echoed between the tall towers. To the aliens, it was just a signal for shift change. But for Lena, it was the sound of freedom. Her wrists burned where the chains had been, the skin raw but alive. She rubbed them once, then clenched her fists. She was no longer chained. She was no longer waiting. Aaron pulled the door open. A rush of hot air and noise spilled inside. Alien voices, clattering machines, the thrum of engines. He stepped out first, cloak flowing behind him, his posture calm, commanding. Lena followed close, her heart hammering so loudly she was sure every alien could hear it. The market streets were crowded, more than usual. Alien guards shouted orders, merchants packed up their stalls, ships landed and rose like giant insects. The chaos worked in their favor. Few eyes lingered on one cloaked figure leading a chained slave. But Lena knew the truth. Her chains were fake now, loose enough to slip off at any moment. Stay close, Aaron murmured without turning his head. She nodded, forcing her steps to remain steady even as her eyes darted around. Every corner, every shadow looked dangerous. They reached the first checkpoint. 2 guards blocked the gate, their weapons glowing red. One raised a clawed hand, snarling something in its harsh language. Aaron replied smoothly in the same tongue, his voice sharp with authority. He handed over a small device. The guard scanned it, hissed, and waved them through. Lena held her breath until they were past. Her hands shook. She whispered, "How do you know their words so well?" Aaron's eyes stayed forward. Years of pretending. Years of surviving. His answer made her chest ache. How much had he sacrificed to walk among them like this? The docks came into view. Huge metal platforms stretching into the night sky filled with ships of every shape and size. Engines roared, lights flashed, shadows moved everywhere, but freedom was close. She could feel it. Aaron guided her toward a small transport ship near the far edge. "That one," he said quietly. "It's headed for the colonies. Once we're inside, I'll take control." They moved quickly, weaving through crowds. For a moment, Lena dared to believe they might actually make it. Then the alarm shrieked. A piercing mechanical howl tore through the air. Red lights flashed across the docks. Guards turned sharply, their glowing eyes scanning the crowd. Aaron's face hardened. "They know." Her stomach dropped. "How? No time, run!" The quiet walk was over. Now came the storm. Aaron ripped off her fake chains, grabbed her hand, and pulled her into the crowd. They pushed past aliens who shouted in anger. Behind them, guards roared commands. The sound of boots thundered after them. Lena's lungs burned as they ran. Her eyes stung from smoke and flashing lights. Aaron's grip was strong, pulling her through twisting corridors past crates and machines. Blaster fire lit the air. Bolts of red energy smashed into walls, exploding in sparks. Lena screamed as one struck just inches from her head. Aaron spun, his black blade flashing. He struck down a guard that lunged at them, the alien collapsing with a shriek. "Move!" he shouted. They sprinted onto a narrow walkway above the docks. The ground shook as ships lifted and landed. Guards swarmed below, pointing, shouting. More climbed the stairs after them. Lena's chest heaved. Her legs screamed in pain, but she forced herself forward. She could not stop. Not now. At last, they reached the transport ship. Its ramp was open, cargo crates being loaded inside. Aaron shoved Lena forward. "Get in!" She stumbled up the ramp. Behind her, Aaron fought, blade against claws, steel against fire. His movements were sharp, brutal, precise, but there were too many of them. "Go!" he roared. Lena froze. She wanted to run, but leaving him, she couldn't. She grabbed a loose pipe from the floor and swung it at a guard climbing the ramp. The alien fell back with a scream. Aaron glanced at her, a flash of surprise in his eyes. Then a hint of pride. "Good, now inside." Together they pushed deeper into the ship, past stacks of crates. The engines hummed louder. The ship was ready to launch, but then came the final blow. A massive alien stepped onto the ramp, larger than the others, its armor glowing with red symbols. Its weapon lit up like fire. It roared, a sound that shook the walls. Aaron's face went pale. "Commander," the alien raised its weapon. A blast of energy tore through the cargo bay. The walls shook, flames bursting across the floor. Lena screamed as the heat seared her skin. Aaron grabbed her, dragging her behind a crate as fire consumed the ramp. The ship groaned, shuddering under the force. Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Alarms screamed louder. Lena coughed, her eyes watering. "We can't," Aaron's voice was steel. "We can. We must." But as the ship lifted from the docks, shaking violently under enemy fire, Lena wasn't sure if they were escaping or flying straight into death. The ship shook like a wounded beast as it tore through the alien sky. Flames licked the walls, smoke filled the air, and alarms screamed louder with every second. Lena coughed, covering her mouth with her sleeve. Sparks rained from broken wires, stinging her skin. Aaron pulled her behind a cargo crate, his blade still in his hand. The massive alien commander roared, stomping closer through the fire. Its armor glowed red, its weapon ready to strike again. Lena's heart raced. We cannot win. Not against this. But Aaron's eyes burned with determination. He handed her the small black chip he had given her earlier. "Now, Lena, use it." Her hands trembled. "Use it where?" He pointed to the control panel across the cargo bay. Flames licked its edges, sparks bursting from its screens. Guards were closing in, the commander leading them. "You want me to—" "Yes," Aaron snapped. "Trust me." Lena's chest tightened. Her legs screamed in fear. But something inside her pushed harder, stronger than fear, stronger than pain. She ran. Bolts of energy tore past her head. The floor shook with heavy footsteps. She dived across the flames, sliding under a broken pipe. Her lungs burned, her arms ached, but she kept going. She reached the panel and slammed the chip inside. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the entire ship roared to life. Engines screamed. Lights blazed. The ramp slammed shut, cutting off the commander's roar. A violent jolt threw everyone to the floor as the ship shot forward, away from the docks, away from the city. Lena lay gasping on the metal floor. The chip glowed in the panel, pulsing like a heart. Aaron staggered toward her, blood streaking his arm, his blade still hot from battle. He looked down at her, his face pale but fierce. "You did it." The ship soared through the alien skies, chased by flashes of red fire. Explosions shook its sides as enemy ships followed. Aaron gripped the controls, his fingers flying across them with skill that shocked Lena. He barked commands in the alien tongue, tricking the system, forcing the ship into hyperspeed. The stars outside stretched into rivers of light. The enemy fire vanished. Silence fell. Lena collapsed into the chair beside him, her body shaking, her throat dry. She stared out the window as the alien city disappeared into the distance. For the first time since her betrayal, Earth's night sky was not above her. She was truly in space, free but lost. Her voice broke as she whispered, "We escaped." Aaron leaned back in the chair, breathing hard. Yes, but escape is only the beginning. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the hum of the ship. Lena's thoughts twisted and turned. Her family's betrayal, the market, the cages, the boy's whisper for help. She wanted to cry, to scream, to collapse into nothing. But instead she found herself staring at her hands. They were bruised, cut, burned, and yet they had acted. They had saved her, saved Aaron, saved them both. For the first time she realized she was not just a victim, she was a survivor. Aaron finally spoke. "Do you hate me?" The question shocked her. She looked at him. His face was tired, lined with scars, but his eyes held something human, something fragile. "I don't know," she whispered. "I don't trust you fully, but—" "I don't hate you," he nodded slowly. "Good, because what comes next will need both of us." Her brows furrowed. "What comes next?" Aaron's voice grew firm again. "The aliens are not invincible. They are powerful, yes, but they are divided. Their empire is built on fear, and fear can be broken." Lena's chest tightened. "You mean, fight them?" His eyes burned with quiet fire. "One step at a time. First we survive, then we gather others, and then we rise." Lena turned back to the stars, endless, cold, and vast. They stretched before her like a challenge. Once they had felt like a prison. Now they felt like a battlefield. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Then I will fight with you. Not because I owe you. Not because of what you did. But because no human should live in chains." Aaron gave her the smallest of smiles, the kind that carried more weight than words. "Good, because humans never abandon each other. Not anymore." The ship drifted into quiet space, its engines humming softly. The wounds of the escape still burned. Bruises, cuts, fear. But Lena felt something new stirring in her chest. Not just survival. Not just escape, but purpose. She thought of her family, of the chains, of the boy's whisper. The betrayal had broken her once, but now she would not let it define her. She would not be only the girl who was sold, she would be the human who fought back. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, waiting, and Lena was ready.